Well, looking back, I always said he was a very brilliant man, and that this is not a pat on my back. It's kind of tongue in cheek. I say that because one of the first things he did is create an angle against me. It was an arm wrestling deal, and kind of like me stepping in the ring with Ric Flair for the very first time when everyone thought I would destroy Ric Flair and win the World Heavyweight belt at that first ever Great American Bash. We did this arm wrestling angle, and I think people looking at the comparison between the two of us, kind of thought, probably he didn't have a chance, although people respected his ability in the ring, as the fans are talking about. So they were hopeful, but that was interesting. It was interesting to have that initial angle with him, and of course that led to quite a series of matches that he and I had, and then the opportunity to work with a legend like him, with all of that ring savvy knowledge that he had. Essentially, all I had to do was go to the ring, and it was just like a formal dance, It was really like almost like you might say a night off. It wasn't it wasn't as much work as it could have been, and I attribute that to his many years of ring knowledge and education and psychology and savvy in the ring. So that's a great memory right there.
Yeah, and I don't know if fans are even realizing this as they're listening to the audio, but you got to look at it in the bare bones of it, folks. The Russian Nightmare, the American Dream. So we've got two complete parallels of each other on both sides of the law here, good and evil. So when you were the Russian Nightmare, he's the American Dream. Obviously, they saw some connection there, and you two were going to cross paths at some point, like you said, the arm wrestling match. But you were almost like the perfect opponent for Dusty Rhodes at that point when you came in 1984, 1985, and were so hot as a heel. The Russian Nightmare really was the nightmare to the Dream, and I guess that's how you guys ended up really being such a perfect fit for each other.
Yeah, it's right, correct. Yeah, I mean, obviously, his persona of the quote American Dream, apple pie, baseball, hot dogs, Dusty Rhodes, right? The American Dream. And so to be able to kind of pair that scenario up with, the epitome of evil, the Russian commie, still in an era of the patriotic era of hating the Russians, especially for what they did and boycotting the games in Los Angeles. It just made, as you're saying, it just made perfect sense to pair up the two of us, and made for a natural angle. And then, of course, there's never a lot of different matches we had that we could talk about, from bull rope matches to Russian chain matches to, just a variety of matches. But, and then fast forward and parlay that into the angle of becoming the superpowers that nobody on the planet at the time ever even considered that to be a possibility. That in and of itself, because of it being such an impossibility, got over in such an incredible way. Just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And obviously preparing for the interview, I went back and watched that moment from October 1986. And still to this day, if you haven't seen it in a long time, I mean, you start to get into it, to, the whole build and the way the fans react to it. And we're going to get to that in a minute. I don't want to jump the gun, but I want to focus more on Dusty as a booker and being in the office, and how much of your persona did Dusty have to do with? Did he kind of give you any tips on maybe some of the things you should do and you shouldn't do? And obviously you adapted to your role so well. And for years, people believed in the Nikita Koloff character and the person, and not knowing where the Russian Nightmare ended. And obviously, what was Dusty's role in kind of helping you at any point during the molding of the Nikita Koloff persona?
Yeah, and again, because I was so early in my career, and to have those matches against him, he was instrumental in him offering, certain suggestions, especially in the matches he and I would have against each other. And then we would eventually, of course, have some tag matches, Ivan and I against him and the Raging Bull and Manny Fernandez, and for the world tag titles. And so again, now to go from having single matches and learning the old school art and psychology of the business to then having tag team matches and now beginning to learn the psychology of tag team wrestling was only, again, another valuable asset for me to catapult my career that much quicker. And, the whole Russian Nightmare thing really kind of came out of that nickname kind of came out of the matches against him. Hey, American Dream, I'm going to be your worst nightmare. Oh, hello, Russian Nightmare, right? You had the Russian Bear, Ivan Koloff, and then of course it just made sense and was a natural to then go Russian Nightmare, American Dream. Oh, okay, I get it.